It is seriously such a nice day out here. Like, I know you guys can't really see it, but at like 11 a.m. this morning, the weather felt like perfect. Right now it feels like a little bit too warm, but I just really enjoying it right now because it feels like fall. And fall is probably my favorite season, and it's probably gonna be my last fall in Maryland. As you know, I'm really thinking about moving next year. I don't know where yet, I don't know where in the world, but I just really enjoy the beginning and the middle of fall. Towards the end it gets a little bit too cold, but if you're living in a place where you can't experience fall, basically the trees turn to awesome colors. They're still green because it's still technically summer, I think, and it gets like windy. Fall's just awesome, guys. Like the culture of fall, the leaves, the holidays, the stuff to do, the pumpkin and the apple. I feel like I need to like whip out a flannel or something. Where's my pumpkin spice latte? So when my dogs are outside, they hide under this bush to avoid the sun so that they stay cool and not like in the sun. This one gets literally all the way under the bush. Gosh. I think I'm gonna rock the beats today and really just zone in during my workout. I'm also not gonna record today's workout just because I forgot to charge the camera, but you'll be seeing workout footage in this video at some point. And I also decided to rock the headband today just because I hate doing my hair. I wanna try something right now. Not sure how it's gonna go. We're gonna put some Green Thunder Mio, which I think it's just like a kiwi, like lime. It's just like green fruit, it tastes like. I'm gonna put this, and it's gonna give it more caffeine and like a lime kind of taste, which there is no green 0-calorie monsters. So this is revolutionary. This is innovative. Okay, the Mio is in the monster. That's actually pretty good. I did it with grape once and it was awesome. So little tip, you can never really get tired of a white monster, but if you ever want to change it up, add some Mio to it. I'm just sitting in my car enjoying the breeze right now. But while I've been chilling here, I've been thinking about fall, and I think the thing I'm the most excited about is The Walking Dead. It returns October 23rd. I just looked it up. I was like, when does this show come back on? I missed that show. Even though the past few seasons haven't really given me the same feeling as I got like the first few seasons, because it's like, it's not as good now, but it's still an awesome show. Definitely probably my favorite part of fall. So I just finished up my workout, but I want to show you this. When I started my cut, I couldn't get this belt on. No. That's a big difference. What's going on, guys? If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to press the subscribe button. Figured I'd come up here and sit with the nice little sky background, even though because of the lighting it's harder to see me. It might be worth it. I'm gonna be overlaying this video with a lot of workout clips, so you won't be seeing me the whole entire time. You're welcome. But go ahead and press that thumbs up button and let's get into the topic. So I wanted to talk about a big lagging muscle group for a lot of people, which is your back, specifically the lats and the width of your back. Most of the time when someone asks me, how do I fix my back? How do I grow my back? How did you get your back from your weak point to your strong point, which is my case. My back, my first competition about 2 years ago was my biggest weak point, and now it's by far my strongest point because I learned how to feel my lats when I'm training them much more seriously. So what I mean by that is the mind to muscle connection is something that's so powerful now for myself, for my back, and I feel like once people really get that good mind to muscle connection, their back will forever grow and change in a way that's just outbeating many other muscle groups, because once you get it, it's so strong. Now, a big indication to me when someone doesn't know how to train their back or how to feel their lats when they're training them, their mind muscle connection, is if when they're not working out their back, they don't know how to flare their lats. If you don't know how to flare your lats, there's a good chance that you don't know how to properly squeeze your lats when you're working them out. But as I keep telling this to people, I realize that that's probably not the only thing that's being a contributing factor to their back not growing. Yes, genetics is huge. Genetics plays a role in every single thing we'll talk about in this video, but there is a way that you can get your genetics to not be your biggest disadvantage, but to just adapt them differently, change your body as much as you can in order to make them work in your favor. What I mean by this is something called muscle fiber types. If you don't know about muscle fiber types, there's type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. We're not gonna go into any like more specific versions, we're just gonna stick to the basic type 1 and type 2. Now, the difference in these fibers is type 1 is more for endurance, more for people who do cardiovascular or aerobic exercises, and even in bodybuilding, people that do just straight up like 8 to 12 rep range, higher reps, but they don't really do anything strong and fast, which is what the type 2 is. It's your fast twitch muscle fibers, your power, your explosion, the type of muscles that require actual strength. and not endurance. Now, type 2, the fast twitch, is a much larger muscle fiber, and it allows for more carbs into the muscle along with water because the carbs are there. For about every gram of carbs, you can fit around 3 grams of water, which if you have bigger type 2 muscle fibers, you're naturally going to look bigger than someone who just has type 1 big muscle fibers. Now, basically, your nervous system is in charge of everything we're about to talk about, but your body is going to do a certain type of recruitment when you're exercising. So let's say you're doing a bodybuilding set of this video is specified towards a back workout because that's the muscle group we're talking about. So I'm going to talk about lat pull downs for this example. So let's say you're doing lat pull downs, a bodybuilding set of around 10 reps. For the first few reps, you're going to be using type 1 muscle fibers because you're just using endurance. You're not really fatiguing it. Once you get to the end of that set, if you're using a proper amount of weight to where the last few reps are extremely challenging like they should be, then you're going to utilize type 2. The reason why bodybuilders are normally, in most cases, bigger than powerlifters is because bodybuilders experience a maximization or at least an enhancement of type 1 and type 2 fibers through just regular hypertrophy training, versus in powerlifting, I know they do accessory lifts and everything like that, but it's not as severe as their other primary movers, which is their big 3, their squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, whatever they do, and that is just requiring one major muscle fiber type versus both. So that is why bodybuilders are usually bigger. But now going back to what I just said about how you first start out by utilizing type 1 and then eventually leads to utilizing type 2 towards the end of your set, that is only the case if you're using the appropriate weight. If you're not challenging yourself with the weights you should be using, then you're not going to experience that same effect. However, if you are challenging yourself, I would say if you're doing a set of 12, once you get to like your 7th or 8th rep, the last 4 reps should be very kind of fatiguing. Like it should be very hard for you to complete that set. That's a proper set that utilizes both types of muscle fibers. So make sure you're doing the proper weight before we get into anything else. Now, like I said before, your mind to muscle connection not being there might be the biggest issue. So for what I would recommend for someone that's a beginner or an intermediate, this means if you've been lifting for up to like 3 years, in my opinion, a huge problem I see is specifically on back workouts. A lot of back exercises can be done with free weights. The problem with free weights is if you don't know what you're doing 100%, if you don't have proper form, and if most importantly, if you don't have that mind to muscle connection down really well, it's not going to be as effective as it should be. The reason why is if you compare free weights to something like a cable exercise, cable is going to have time under tension. Usually your form isn't 100% in your control. It's being controlled by whatever variables are in place, a seat, a bench, the angle the cables are coming at, versus free weights. Your full range of motion is there, but it's not time under tension. It's not full contraction, in my opinion, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Now, when I say don't know what you're doing, I don't mean completely. I just mean maybe your mind to muscle connection isn't where it should be. So that should just be a little factor that can change a lot of big things. Now, another issue with free weights is a lot of people go much heavier than they should. If you're doing any type of bent over rows or dumbbell rows, most of the time you see guys really trying to figure out how they can lift heavier, and what that does is it recruits more muscles than needed, and then eventually you're not even using your lats or your back in general. It becomes bicep workout, shoulder workout. So free weights lead to a lot of form problems because once ego gets kicked in, then you're trying to lift more heavier than you should. And that's the case in most of these cases. Most times when you have a weak back, and if you look at your workout and you're using mainly free weights, usually, in most cases, it can be directly correlated to you using heavier weight than you should be. Now, when you're doing that, you're not really utilizing your lats, and most importantly, when your lats are in effect, you're mainly using type 2 muscle fibers instead of type 1 and 2. So what I would suggest, knowing that cable has better time under tension, better full range of, better absolute contraction on the muscle, is utilize cables for about 50% of your workout so that you're using free weights, but you're also using some type of circuit, some type of cable, whether that's lat pull downs or whether that's single arm cable rows that I did my workout today, stuff like that, so that you can get away from the dumbbell and have much more control. What this is gonna do is it's gonna allow you to not only use type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers towards the end of that set when you're doing hypertrophy sets of that range, but it's also going to allow you to learn the mind to muscle connection much more. Any cable exercise will always develop a stronger mind to muscle connection because you're gonna feel that constant tension versus just on half the movement in most cases for free weights. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're learning mind to muscle connection, and you're also utilizing the type 1 that you've been lacking. You can do this by simply exchanging 2 exercises for the same exact movement, just in cable instead of free weight, or you can pick up something that I've done recently, which is a power bodybuilding split. That way you're always utilizing some type of compound and always doing a bodybuilding workout with it to maximize both. And what I just said is the exact thing I would recommend to someone who's an advanced lifter who definitely has the mind to muscle connection down. You know, they know how to flare their lats, they always get a crazy pump. But if that's the case, then yes, they can definitely do a power bodybuilding split, or maybe even Lane Norton's heavy upper hypertrophy, lower hypertrophy split that a lot of people know about. So hopefully that made sense. In summary, if you're lacking on your lats, your back isn't as wide as you want, or maybe the back thickness isn't there in comparison to everything else in your body, there could be something that's just as simple as your mind to muscle connection isn't strong enough, so you should switch to cables in some of your exercises to get that mind to muscle connection down. Practice flaring your lats, practice back posing. That usually helps the mind to muscle connection a lot, and in the long run, that's gonna help you grow your lats, because if you're not squeezing the muscles you're trying to use while exercising, they're not gonna grow as full as they can. Second thing is, a lot of people that lift a lot heavier than they should, which even if you don't think you are, you really have to go back and really evaluate your workouts. Are you only doing sets of 5 to 6? Or are you only doing 8 to 10 reps, but those reps are sloppy because you can barely handle the weight while maintaining proper form and constant tension on the muscle? If that's the case, either lower the weight a little bit so you can still get that squeeze while still going heavy so you can utilize both types of muscle fibers, or reevaluate your workout and change some exercise with cables, or maybe even jump to all cables. It's not that big of a deal. So that way you can get both, and then you'll have a much more balanced back and a better chance of growing, because if your body is not used to having type 1 muscle fibers stimulated, and you're only ego lifting, or you're only just lifting super heavy or powerlifting, then you're finally gonna give your body a chance to build its type 1 muscle fibers so that you can maximize your cells and grow to your fullest ability. So hopefully that makes sense. Basically, whenever you're working out, just try to combine a mix of very concentrated, proper form, time under tension exercises that really give you a crazy good pump with proper form, especially. I'm gonna highlight that again, what I just said, and also exercises that build strength, lower reps, require a lot of power and recruitment from your type 2 muscle fibers. Anytime you can combine those in a workout, that's when you're gonna give yourself the best chance. But hopefully that helped you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please drop a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Subscribe if you're new, and comment your thoughts down below about this, and let me know if you have any questions or what you wanna see. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.